Why didn't we launch troops during the First World War and finally become a victorious country? When the First World War broke out, China had just established a republic, and the internal situation was unstable. Originally, the government wanted to maintain neutrality and stay away from this European war. However, some officials believed that this was an opportunity for China to step onto the international stage. If the war ended in victory for the Allied powers, China could join the peace talks as a victorious nation. Sending troops to Europe was unrealistic both financially and logistically, so they came up with another plan: to send laborers instead of soldiers, supporting the front line of the Allied forces. At first, Britain rejected the idea, believing China was not qualified to participate in the war. But as the conflict deepened, especially after the battles involving Ferdinand and Serbia, the death toll among British and French troops grew heavy, and their domestic labor force was severely depleted. In the end, Britain and France agreed to China's proposal and began recruiting Chinese laborers on a large scale starting in 1916. These workers mainly came from northern provinces such as Shandong and Hebei. Most were poor farmers drawn by the promise of high pay to work in Europe for 3 to 5 years, earning more than $10 a month, 3 to 4 times a normal worker's income in China. For many impoverished rural youths, this was a rare opportunity. In total, about 140,000 Chinese laborers went to Europe, enduring a journey halfway across the world. After arriving, they were often sent to the most difficult and dangerous jobs. According to their contracts, they were not supposed to participate in combat. But the reality was very different. The British and French recruited Chinese laborers to make ammunition in munitions factories, repair railroads, and work in freezing conditions. Many were sent directly to the front lines, digging trenches, clearing mines, carrying the wounded, and even burying corpses. When German surprise attacks occurred, these workers sometimes had no choice but to pick up iron tools and defend themselves. Their living conditions were extremely harsh. They stayed in shabby barracks, had limited freedom of movement, and often faced unfair treatment. Although the contract guaranteed wages, deductions were made under various pretexts. The dangers of war were everywhere. In 1917, a French merchant ship carrying over 500 Chinese workers was sunk by a German submarine. Throughout the war, an estimated 20,000 Chinese laborers died from bombings, disease, or accidents. Many never had their names recorded, only numbers. Despite this tragedy, the contribution of Chinese workers provided crucial support for the Allied war effort. Their efforts later became an important basis for China's claim to the status of a victorious country after the war. In 1919, during the Paris Peace Conference, the Chinese delegation sought to reclaim Shandong's sovereignty, emphasizing the contribution of over 200,000 Chinese laborers to the Allied cause. They argued that China had earned its place among the victors. However, Britain and France had already secretly transferred Shandong's rights to Japan through prior agreements. When China's request was denied, news spread quickly at home, sparking the May 4th movement. Chinese people across the country and overseas united in anger, demanding justice and refusing to accept the unfair terms. Ultimately, the Chinese delegation refused to sign the Treaty of Versailles. Although the Paris conference ended in disappointment, the sacrifices and contributions of the Chinese laborers were not forgotten. After the war, China abolished all unequal treaties signed with Germany and the Austro-Hungarian Empire, repaid part of the laborers' wages, and became a founding member of the League of Nations, marking a small but meaningful step forward on the international stage.